got some sad news today in the entertainment world. We lost a legend. The great, the legendary, the iconic James Earl Jones passed away at the age of 93. And it's interesting. There's certain people. He was 93 years old. He lived a full life and accomplished a lot of things and really touched a lot of people through his work. When someone like that passes away, when they get the opportunity and get the privilege of getting to live to live to old age, most of the time, like unless it's someone you know, obviously, but if it's someone like in the entertainment world, in the sports world, a public figure who passes away in their 80s or in their 90s, there's always like you're sad they're gone. You send prayers to their family, thoughts and prayers to their family, but you're like, hey, they lived a full life. And I certainly feel that way towards James Earl Jones, but I feel similar emotions now to when John Madden passed away. It's like these people are getting up there in age, you get that, but you're like, dang, like it's just, they've been a focal point. Like maybe it's the reason I feel the same about James Earl Jones as I did with John Madden. It's a focal point of my childhood, of a lot of our childhoods. Go back to Coming to America, which he was great in. Go back to arguably the greatest monologue. Actually, forget arguably. The greatest monologue of any sports movie ever made. James Earl Jones in Field of Dreams it's chills every time. It can bring tears to your eyes in that. Just that 2-minute monologue. Baseball. Oh, it's so good. It's YouTube that in remembrance of this man. If you want to talk about for younger audiences like myself, the way I was introduced to James Earl Jones was through The Lion King when he played the iconic character Mufasa. And, that was kind of like our first like heartbreak death moment for all of us for a fictional character watching The Lion King, which is, I think, the greatest movie Disney's ever made personally. And it says a lot about James Earl Jones and about The Lion King that movie was made, I think, in 1994. I think it was 1994. They made the live action remake 25 years later in 2019. Now, keep in mind, that original Lion King cast, Matthew Broderick, they had James Earl Jones, they had the great Jeremy Irons. They had Whoopi Goldberg. That was a stacked, I think Cheech Martin was in that movie. That was a great, great cast. And the only one they brought back for the live action remake was James Earl Jones, because it wouldn't feel right to have somebody else voice Mufasa. That big, James Earl Jones' voice almost sounded like a lion. It was deep. It was baritone. It was regal. He sounded like royalty. Even though it's 25 years later, they still want him to come back and do Mufasa, and rightfully so. But more than anything, for myself and for many others, the thing that James Earl Jones will go down in history for is for voicing, I think, undeniably, I don't think you can make a case against it. I will fight you to the death on this. The greatest movie villain in history, Darth Vader. And, of course, the Star Wars franchise, who James Earl Jones voiced going back between 1977 in A New Hope, from then all the way to 2022 in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, which I thought was excellent. I think that show got way too much hate. I thought it was great. To voice a character, to be part of the identity of such an iconic... If you had to list the 10 most iconic characters in the history of film, Vader makes the list. I don't think there's any question about that. He is the heartbeat of Star Wars. And you talk about the things that makes him so great, the tragic backstory, which is explained in the prequel trilogy. Vader's like, 6'5"? He's a giant human being. The creepy breathing sounds, all of it. His power, his power through the Sith and the dark side. But the voice is what is the not even the cherry on top. The Vader isn't Vader without James Earl Jones. He's just not. And the late great David Prowse, who played Darth Vader in the flesh in the original trilogy, God rest his soul, but just didn't have that intimidating of a voice. And so George Lucas at the time said he had a preference. He wanted to get a black man to voice Darth Vader, and he chooses James Earl Jones, and it's one of the greatest decisions George Lucas has ever made. It's one of the greatest decisions made in the history of Star Wars. And listen, man, when I saw that news today, I was like, dang, like this is, Vader and Mufasa. The guy is and always will be a true icon And so listen, I understand he was 93 years old, and thoughts and prayers go to his family. Man, that one hit today, man. That one definitely hurts. So rest in peace, James Earl Jones, 1931 to 2024. He was 93 years of age. Just an icon in the history of show business. And he will certainly never be forgotten. And with that somber note, but I want to pay tribute to the man. I think he is a true legend. And I don't know much about James Earl Jones, the human being. From what I saw from him in interviews, he seemed to be very humble, very amiable. I used to see, he used to do like funny skits with Letterman on the Late Show back in the day. So just a giant, an absolute giant, and probably the greatest voice in film history. Just an all-time legend. James Earl Jones, gone and certainly never forgotten. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.